They say betrayal feels like a knife to the chest, but what if that knife is held by the two people you trusted the most? I didn't scream. I didn't confront them. I just pressed, go live. And that one decision changed not just my life, but theirs forever. It all started on an ordinary Thursday evening. The kind that drags on without meaning, when the sound of the clock ticking feels louder than your own heartbeat. The sky was heavy with rain, the kind that soaked through everything, clothes, skin, thoughts. I was making tea when my phone buzzed on the counter. It was Arav. Work dinner. Don't wait up. The same message I had received 3 nights in a row. There was a time when that text would have meant nothing. I trusted him completely. He was my husband, my best friend, my safe place. We had built a life together over 7 years, full of laughter, shared dreams, and the kind of comfort that only comes when you truly believe someone is yours. But lately, something had changed. He had become distant, distracted, glued to his phone, always somewhere else even when he was right in front of me. I tried to tell myself it was work stress. He had recently been promoted, long hours, big responsibilities. Still, every night he came home smelling faintly of a perfume I didn't wear, smiling in a way that didn't reach his eyes. My heart noticed long before my mind did. Maya, my best friend, was the only person I confided in. She was the sunshine in every storm. She'd come over with wine and jokes, telling me not to overthink things. Men go through phases, Ria, she'd laugh. He loves you, you'll see. It's just a rough patch. I believed her. I always believed her. We'd been friends since college. She was like the sister I never had, the one who held my secrets, my fears, my tears. That night, as I finished my tea, I noticed Arav's smartwatch lying on the counter. He must have forgotten it in his rush. It lit up suddenly with a message. I didn't mean to read it, but my eyes caught it before I could turn away. Room 402, I'm here. My stomach dropped. My hands turned cold. For a long moment, I couldn't breathe. The message was simple, almost harmless in its wording, but my heart knew. Something in me just knew. I stared at the name on the screen. No name, just a number, but the message repeated itself in my mind until I whispered it out loud. Room 402. It was a hotel 2 blocks from his office. My throat felt dry as sandpaper. Maybe it's work, I thought. Maybe he's meeting a client. Maybe I'm paranoid. I tried to convince myself, but my chest ached with the truth I didn't want to face. Before I knew it, I was grabbing my car keys. I didn't plan what I was going to say or do. I just needed to see. To know. To stop the ache of uncertainty that was slowly killing me from the inside. The rain hit harder as I drove. Each drop against the windshield sounded like a heartbeat, fast and uneven. The city lights blurred through the water, painting everything in shades of gold and gray. My fingers gripped the steering wheel tightly, my mind replaying every suspicious moment, every lie disguised as care. When I reached the hotel, the lobby was warm and bright, smelling faintly of lilies and fresh coffee. I stood there for a moment, trying to gather the courage to breathe. Then I walked to the reception, forcing a calm I didn't feel. "Hi," I said with a soft smile. "My husband forgot his phone. Could you please tell me which room he's in?" Arav Mehta. The receptionist glanced at the screen, then looked up. "Yes, ma'am. Mr. Mehta just checked in, with someone. Room 402. Her words pierced through me like glass. I nodded, pretending not to care. "Thank you." I turned away before she could see the tremor in my hands. I didn't rush upstairs. I sat in the lounge instead, staring at the golden lights reflecting on the marble floor. My mind was loud with memories, the day he proposed under fairy lights, the way he looked at me on our wedding day, how he held my hand during my mother's surgery. Could that same man be betraying me right now? Then I saw them. Through the glass walls of the hotel restaurant, my world stopped. Arav sat there, laughing. Not his polite laugh, the real one, the one that once belonged to me. And sitting across from him, with her hair tied in that same loose bun she always wore when we talked for hours over coffee, was Maya. My best friend. She leaned closer, her hand brushing his. I felt the air leave my lungs. The sight hit me like a blow, so familiar, so intimate. My body froze while my mind screamed. I couldn't move, couldn't blink. I just watched as they laughed, shared a dessert, their faces glowing with the warmth of a secret. I wanted to storm in, to demand answers, to shatter the calm of that restaurant with the truth. But something in me broke differently. Not with rage, but with clarity. Without a word, I took out my phone. My hands trembled as I opened the camera, but my voice was steady. I pressed, go live. Hi, everyone, I said quietly. I wasn't planning to go live tonight, but there's something you should see. I turned the camera toward them. The screen showed Arav and Maya, laughing, their hands still intertwined. Within seconds, people began joining. Comments popped up one after another. Wait, is that your husband? Isn't that Maya? What's going on? The live chat flooded with confusion, disbelief, and anger. I didn't say another word. I didn't need to. The image spoke for itself. My betrayal, captured in real time for the world to see. I zoomed in slightly, my heart pounding. Arav reached over to tuck a strand of Maya's hair behind her ear. That simple, gentle gesture, once mine, felt like a dagger. The comments exploded again. My screen was filling with heartbreak, outrage, support. And then, as if feeling the weight of 1,000 eyes, Arav looked up. Our eyes met through the glass. His face went pale. Maya froze mid-laugh, her smile disappearing. For a heartbeat, none of us moved. The rain outside thundered against the windows. I ended the live. The silence afterward was deafening. I stood there for a long time before walking out of the hotel. The rain drenched me completely, but I didn't care. I had no tears left. Only the numbness that comes when truth finally replaces denial. By the time I reached home, my phone was exploding with notifications. Friends, family, strangers, all messaging, calling, flooding me with sympathy, anger, questions. My sister's voice cracked on the phone, Ria, what happened? I had no answer. Hours later, Arav came home. His hair was wet, his face pale. It's not what you think, he said, voice trembling. I looked at him calmly. Oh, Arav, everyone already knows what it is. He opened his mouth to speak, but I walked away. I packed one suitcase, closed the door behind me, and didn't look back. No drama, no shouting, just the sound of rain and the soft thud of my heart learning how to beat alone again. That night, as I lay in a small guest room at my sister's house, the world outside kept raining. I replayed the live in my mind, every second of it. I thought it was the end of my story. But somewhere deep down, something whispered, this is only the beginning. Sometimes silence screams louder than revenge. Sometimes a single live video can break chains you didn't even know you were wearing. That night, when I went live at the hotel, I thought I had lost everything, my marriage, my best friend, my faith in love. But I was wrong. What I really lost was the illusion that I needed them to feel complete. The next morning, I woke up to hundreds of notifications. My video had gone viral overnight. It wasn't just a few people watching, it was thousands. Strangers from around the world had seen my heartbreak in real time. Some messages were full of support, others of pity, and a few cruel ones too. The internet has a way of turning pain into entertainment. But beyond the noise, there were voices that mattered, women telling me they had been through the same thing, that they saw themselves in my silence. At first, I wanted to hide. I didn't leave my sister's house for 3 days. Every time I opened social media, there were headlines, memes, opinions. Betrayed wife goes live at hotel. Woman exposes cheating husband and best friend. My life had become a story for everyone else to dissect. But in that chaos, something unexpected happened. I began to feel seen. For years, I had been quietly suffering in a marriage that made me feel invisible. Now, for the first time, people were listening to me. On the third morning, I opened my inbox. Among hundreds of messages, one caught my attention. It was from a woman I didn't know. Her words were simple but powerful. Greater than, you turned your pain into power. Please don't stop speaking. There are so many of us who never found our voice. I read that message again and again. And suddenly, I knew what I needed to do. Instead of disappearing, I would speak. Not as the broken wife people pitied, but as a woman who survived. I created a new account. I called it She Rose. My first post wasn't polished or planned. It was just me, sitting by the window, eyes still puffy from nights of crying. I said, "Hi, I'm Ria. A week ago, I found out my husband and best friend betrayed me. But this isn't a story about them. It's a story about how I'm learning to choose myself." The response was overwhelming. Comments poured in. People thanked me for my honesty. Women shared their own stories, abuse, lies, years of silence. I spent hours reading them, crying with them, healing with them. I wasn't alone anymore. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, I rebuilt my life. I found a small apartment, started therapy, began working again. Every live session I did wasn't about exposing pain anymore, it was about finding peace. I talked about self-worth, forgiveness, boundaries, and how to let go without losing yourself. The more I spoke, the lighter I felt. But while I was moving forward, Arav's world was collapsing. His company suspended him because the video brought unwanted attention. Maya's family disowned her after the scandal. Their perfect little secret had become a public nightmare. Part of me thought I'd feel satisfaction seeing them fall. But when I looked at the man I once loved being crushed under his own choices, I didn't feel revenge, I felt nothing. And that nothingness was freedom. One rainy afternoon, Arav showed up at my apartment. I could tell he hadn't slept in days. His eyes were red, his clothes wrinkled, his voice soft. "Ria, please," he said, "I made a terrible mistake. I can't eat, I can't sleep. I'm so sorry." I stared at him for a long moment. This was the same man who had promised to protect me, now standing at my door begging for forgiveness. "Do you know what hurt the most?" I asked quietly. "It wasn't that you cheated. It was that you looked me in the eye every day and lied. That's not love, Arav. That's cruelty dressed as comfort." He sank to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "I'll do anything. Please, just one more chance." I shook my head. "I gave you 100 chances you never even saw. I'm not angry anymore, Arav. I just don't belong to you now. You lost me when you chose silence over honesty." He laughed that day with his shoulders slumped, the weight of his guilt heavier than any punishment I could have given. When the door closed behind him, I took a deep breath, and for the first time in months, I felt light. My channel grew faster than I ever imagined. She Rose became a movement. I began collaborating with therapists, lawyers, and counselors to help women rebuild after betrayal, emotionally, financially, legally. What started as my breakdown became a community for healing. I received letters from women who left abusive marriages, from men who said my story made them rethink how they treated their partners. I realized that pain, when shared with purpose, could become someone else's hope. Months later, I was invited to speak at a women's empowerment conference. I almost said no. I wasn't sure if I was ready to stand on a stage and relive everything. But something in me whispered, "You survived to tell this story." So I said yes. The auditorium was filled with faces, some smiling, some tearful, some just curious. When it was my turn, I walked onto the stage, my heart pounding. I looked at the crowd and began, "I once thought my life ended in a hotel lobby. But it turns out, it started there. Because that night, I stopped being someone's wife and became my own person." The audience was silent, hanging on every word. I told them about betrayal, pain, healing, and how we confuse forgiveness with weakness. "Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting," I said. "It means freeing yourself from the burden of their choices." When I finished, people stood up. Applause echoed through the hall. And then, a young girl walked up to me after the event. She was trembling, tears running down her cheeks. "You saved me," she whispered. "I was about to marry someone like him. But I saw your video, and I ended it. You helped me see my worth." I hugged her tightly. In that moment, I realized that my heartbreak had become her second chance. That was the moment I knew, everything I went through had meaning. That night, I came home and opened the same video that had once shattered me. The live from the hotel. I watched myself standing there, silent, trembling, holding the camera. I remembered the pain, the disbelief, the loss. But now, I saw something else too, strength. The kind of strength that only comes after being broken and rebuilt. For the first time, I didn't cry. I smiled, because that night wasn't my ending. It was my awakening. Sometimes, life breaks you to show you who you really are. Sometimes the people who betray you are just characters written into your story to push you toward your purpose. And if you're watching this now, remember, you are not defined by who left, but by how you rise after they do. You are not a victim of betrayal. You are the proof that heartbreak can be the first step toward becoming unstoppable.